The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping Western Mass families achieve greater energy independence through solar power, battery systems, and air source heat pumps. Northeast-solar.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Today we're taking two looks at community spaces and the way they're supported and represented.
Yep, so later in the show we head out along Route 9 in the Hilltowns to the iconic spot where a cow resides on the roof to hear the history and present of the Old Creamery Co-op with Lloyd Miller and Jesse Macero.
But first, the primaries are a short 2 weeks away to determine who'll be on November's ballot, and we're doing our best to meet all of the options folks in the 413 will see in their respective districts.
And first up on our list is the challenger for the 1st Congressional District, Jeremy Whalen.
Jeremy Whalen is running as a Democrat to represent Massachusetts' 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives against longtime incumbent Richard Neal. Jeremy was raised in Belchertown, earned 3 degrees from UMass Amherst, and now lives in South Hadley with his wife.
3 degrees. After college, Whalen traveled in South America and planned a career in nonprofit media production. Ha-ha. Welcome.
If you don't win, we know a nonprofit media company.
Well, I just saying. He worked at a community television station in Santa Cruz, California. Whalen decided to return to Massachusetts and volunteered with Northampton Community Television and applied for a teaching position. Whalen started teaching media production at Northampton High School in the fall of 2014.
For his PhD thesis at UMass, Whalen launched a project that allowed him to advance his own education and have a positive impact on his students and the Northampton Public Schools, building a new website for the entire district, including a site for each school.
And now he is running for Congress.
Welcome to the show, Jeremy Whalen.
Well, thank you for writing my obituary. I'm all set.
It's a bio. It's not an obituary.
It works.
No, you hit the entire life right there. That was great.
It works as both sometimes.
This is your life,
Has
Jeremy
dark
Whalen.
humor, but it's on.
Today is the day of Transformance happening at the Pines Theater at Look Park, which is a benefit for the Northampton Schools, which is where you worked, which is the first time I remember having a long-form conversation with you this years ago now, and you were dressed as Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. I had the mustache that was kept on falling off. It was just a wonderful. I go to that every year. I had the pleasure to be semi-hosting it with all y'all, and yeah, what a wonderful experience. Raising money for the schools. I'm endorsed by the Massachusetts Teachers Association.
I saw that, the largest union in Massachusetts, I believe.
Largest union.
That you are a part of, full disclosure.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Uh-huh.
I'm wearing my Northampton Association of School Employees right here. Representing. You can't see it. This is radio. But yeah,
you can imagine.
What an awesome event.
Yes, he's not dressed as Freddie Mercury now. You are very informally dressed. And your informal nature of the campaign is kind of what you have become known for with this campaign. You parked your yellow van right out in front of 44 Hamden here at NEPM Studios. Talk about the van.
Yeah, so it's a 1988 Toyota van.
That's when Richard Neal was elected to Congress, I believe.
Yeah, he's been there for 37 years, and I'm 39 years old.
Was that on purpose?
I've been driving this thing for 6 years.
That would have been a real
I've been driving
deep dive.
them in total for about 15 years. So just a little bit of coinky-dink. But yeah, the van, it's representing a symbol. It's being visible in your community. I mean, you can't miss it when you're going down the road.
Right. That's how I knew you were here. I looked out the window.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's the yellow van.
I think you could see it from Google Earth. But I think that what we're seeing right now is an absentee congressman who, over time, has taken more and more corporate money and is no longer a part of the district in the meaningful way. And when we talk about what we're losing as a result, the guy's got a $1.2 million Cape House, and he spent almost $1 million at the Chatham Bars Inn from his campaign money. That's all the way in the other part of the state outside of our district. You got to be on the ground here. We got 83 municipalities here, 30% of the landmass of Massachusetts. I'm on a road tour right now seeing all of these little places. I stopped in Monterey, Mass, and I stopped at a farm. I was talking to them. They said, there has never been a candidate that has stopped here. State rep, state senator, municipal officials, and to get out and hear the stories and uplift those stories. That's what we're doing every single day, and that's what we're going to continue to do when we're in Congress.
Stop trying to take our jobs, Jeremy Whalen.
Jeremy, you have been a teacher for a long time. What goes on in your mind to say, I'm a teacher, I teach media production, but I'm going to take on one of the most well-established and highest-ranking Democratic congresspeople in the United States House of Representatives?
Yeah, because what we hear over and over again is, but he's on Ways and Means.
Yeah.
He's on Ways and Means.
If the Democrats take Congress back, he will be the chair of the Ways and Means Committee once again.
we always have to dispel these myths. I think that what happens over time, because we have a smaller media market and he hasn't had a serious challenger in quite some time, that there's narratives that cement themselves. And one of them is that there's some sort of perceived power on the House Ways and Means. And to that I say, to whom does he wield that power for? Because it's certainly not us. His own son takes thousands of dollars from his father's campaign account and has lobbied before the House Ways and Means Committee. And additionally, in 2019, he presided over a birthday party for AIG Insurance inside of the House Ways and Means chambers. And the drink of choice that night was the Centennial Smash. So he's getting smashed in the House Ways and Means chambers, and he's blowing out birthday candles for AIG Insurance, one of the biggest culprits in the 2008 financial crisis. Is he coming to our birthday parties? I don't think so.
I will say we have invited Congressman Richard Neal to come on. He can come and address any of these things if they are not totally factually accurate. We've invited him on dozens of times over the course of the history of this show. He has yet to appear. We hope that he does before the primary, and we are speaking with his primary challenger for the 1st Congressional District, Jeremy Whalen.
And just to go back to the teaching thing.
And when you decide, like, as a teacher, I want to be a congressman, and I have the skill set
I was
to do
literally
it.
about to ask this. Like talk about the ties between like government and civics and education and how that could be useful for a position like this.
I think that we need more teachers in the halls of Congress. We need more nurses. We need more tradespeople. We need more people that are from the working and middle class. That
you're listing all of the occupations that just got cut from the department.
All the people that
the former
jobs
Department
are
of
going
Education
away.
that like no one's getting funding for anymore.
Because these are the people that take care of society and have kindness and compassion, and certainly don't do it for a paycheck. They do it for improving the lives of generations that are going to come after them. And that's where I found myself in 2016. After Trump got elected, I had to go into the classroom the very next day, and I'm boots on the ground. I'm some of the first conversations that these students are having. And we're talking about a lot of vulnerable populations here. My LGBTQ plus students, my Black and brown students, my students of low socioeconomic circumstances. And I'm there to reassure them that I have their back. This isn't typical. This isn't normal. We're going to get through this. And there was a collective sigh of relief. I got a lot of calls home and messages from students, and it was a reassuring moment. And at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm going, how the heck did we get here, and who allowed this to happen? What is going on in the world? Mm-hmm. But at the time, I was getting my master's degree, and I was protecting my classroom and my family and my community. Flash forward to 2024, and we're in that same predicament. And so I have to go into the classroom now. But times have changed. We're not talking about the same incompetencies of the first Trump administration. We're talking about a concerted effort with Project 2025. Mm-hmm. And that revolving door of characters that had some, at least, shred of decency. Well, now they were replaced by the Stephen Millers of the world who were going to rubber stamp whatever he wanted. And so I went into the classroom with that in the back of my mind, and I said, listen, I apologize on behalf of adults for framing the world like this. It's not the behaviors that I model. And I gave that same exact speech, and this time, shrugs of shoulders, because we've normalized it all. They were 6, 7, 8 years old when Trump was first elected, and this is the world that they know. Mm-hmm. And if I am struggling and they are struggling, who else is struggling in this situation? And so I went back to that same question. How the heck did we get here again, and who allowed it to happen? And at this point, I was bouncing from Mass 2 to Mass 1, and in Massachusetts Congressional District 2, we got the GOAT. Jim McGovern. He's awesome. We are endorsed by all of the same organizations, Progressive Democrats of America, for instance, Mass Peace Action. You go down the list, and we stand for the same things. And he's also accessible and responsive.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. He's on our show. He's on our show every week.
Yep. Like, and that man takes town halls all the time.
Yeah,
he's always trying to hit the corners of his district that he hasn't hit when he's not in D.C.
And I will say there was an opinion piece in the Daily Hampshire Gazette earlier this week from Sarah Weinberger that does bring up one of the main critiques of Congressman Richard Neal, where she writes, in June 2017, disgruntled voters in the Hill Towns feeling ignored by Representative Neal took out an ad in the Daily Hampshire Gazette that read missing above a wide-eyed photograph of Congressman Neal, the words underneath asking, quote, has anyone seen this man? Yes, he's your congressman. You are running a different type of campaign, Jeremy Whalen, against this longtime incumbent.
We've had over 100 speaking events. In fact, tonight, Franklin County Candidates Forum, I'm going to be on stage. I was knocking doors this morning. I'm going back to knock more right after this. We're meeting.
So you're not
people
coming to
on the doors.
Transformance is what you're saying.
Unfortunately,
we need
not.
Freddie Mercury to return.
I know.
Freddie Mercury, perfect,
I know,
New
I was
Age
like, it's
Daydream.
perfect.
Anyway,
I promise
you're busy.
next year I'm coming.
Even if you're a
Do you have
congressman.
any idea
Yep.
how much I have spent on this dumb costume?
I have spent hundreds of dollars on all of my costumes for tonight. By the way, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And we're speaking with Jeremy Whalen, who's running for Congress. Congressman Neal has had significant challengers in the past. Tahira Amatul Wadud is a lawyer in Springfield. She ran against him. She had a lot of momentum. A lot of the same type of people were believing in her message. She did not fare well when it came to the primary. The former mayor of Holyoke, Alex Morse, a well-known name, an established political candidate, also fared poorly when it came down to the primary. What makes you, Jeremy Whalen, think you can win?
I think it's a different time, and I'm a different candidate. When you look back at the Alex Morse race, for instance, I think a couple of things stick out. One, there was a smear campaign at the last second. I'm just going to say it.
And we don't know who is behind that campaign, but there have been all sorts of accusations of who was behind that campaign. It had to do with him being gay. It had to do with his being a professor at UMass.
Yeah.
And it may or may not have had an impact on the actual voting.
But it sent a message. It said, don't screw around and challenge me, because if you do, it's got to be more than just a challenge. It's got to be personal. And it also severed connections with a younger generation of leaders that were coming up the pipeline. And we've created all those relationships and connections with that younger generation of municipal leaders and state reps and officials. We have done a tremendous job at creating those relationships. And I think the biggest difference here, too, is that if you look back at the Alex Morse race, he was espousing progressive values at a time where there was a little bit more hesitancy. When I sit here and I say we need a universal health care system, Medicare for all, Jayapal bill right there, everybody nods their heads. Why? Because the last jail study that just recently came out said that it saves 114,000 lives and $1 trillion, and 20 to 40% health insurance increases over a year. That's unsustainable. It's breaking household budgets. It's breaking municipal budgets. Right there, that is enough to say progressive is practical. These are the things that are needed for a functioning society. These are the things that all other developed countries have. We need this now. And why don't we have them? It's because the corporate infiltration of our political campaign finance system. And he's the poster child for that. He's one of the top recipients of corporate money in all of Congress, over every single Democrat, over every single Republican. So everybody's waking up to the fact that these are the things you need, and these are the things we're told we can't have because of corporations.
We're speaking with Jeremy Whalen, who's candidate for the 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives, running in the primary against Congressman Richie Neal.
Are you also encouraged by the fact that there generally across the country has been a wave of success for more progressive candidates? People have been getting unseated. That's in both parties. People are looking at newer voices. Does that give you hope for here, or are we too stuck in our ways in a very New England specific sort of way?
As Sunny Singh said from the Bhangra Liberation Orchestra, we live in Mamdanistan now. And the young
he lives
Democratic...
in Mamdanistan. We live in Massachusetts.
Maybe the whole country is Mamdanistan. Are we in a wave of progressivism? And do you identify along those same lines as like a democratic socialist?
I don't have the endorsement by the DSA. I have relationships with a lot of different organizations. I think that what we've created is an infrastructure and a community that is a bunch of people coming together for a variety of reasons that are ordinary individuals. I mean, I have a friend who was knocking doors with me. We had 85 people in Springfield, and we knocked 3,100 doors. And my friend who came out with me, Angel, he had never gone out in his life knocking a door. He had never actually voted before, but we were inspiring him. It was because the relationships that we've created. I literally called him that week and said, hey, do you want to come out and knock doors with me? And he saw how his life was being impacted. He saw what we were creating, and it transcends any of the third rail rhetoric that we talk about, left and right and all of this. We're in dire straits and we need solutions. And politics to us is problem solving. And so I think that the progressive agenda that you're seeing, toss out all the labels. It's the things, like I said, that we need for a functioning society. And we're all coming together to create that. It's a beautiful thing to watch, to be honest.
Is there anything that you know of that's come to vote on the floor where Neal has been absent and it's had an impact, or voted in a way that negatively affected this area that you know of?
I think what comes to mind is he axed a provision that would have cracked down on surprise medical billing. And what happens right after that? Tens of thousands of dollars come rolling in from health insurance lobbyists in the healthcare industry. There's often times where he says that he's the champion of the Affordable Care Act, and I said, is healthcare affordable? that's a Band-Aid as far as I'm concerned. We need to expand that coverage of Medicare and Medicaid right now, but we also have to think about a true revision of the entire system because it is way beyond time to actually get universal health care in this country. And you can't just become a champion of just throwing money or losing money, as we've seen with the big BS bill. And so I think that that's something that really sticks out. When you look at his legislative voting, he will vote Democratic, but there's no hallmark legislative initiatives that he has. He will sit there and try to champion, for instance, Social Security. Social Security is at threat to be insolvent by 2032. And so there's an entire generation that is looking at all of these problems that are there, and he's patting himself on the back. And so we need a fundamental reprioritization of congressional expenditures right now. We're spending $1 billion a day on a war, $1 billion? And right here alone in our state, $60 million a year shortfall for our rural schools that Joe Comerford calls a death spiral. That's insane. And we need those solutions. And it's not just sitting there and voting, and oftentimes that he's not on the actual side of the good vote, but it's also demonstrating leadership.
More coming up with primary candidate Jeremy Whalen as we discuss the grassroots nature of his campaign, possible issues concerning the upcoming debate with Richard Neal, plus the hullabaloo surrounding the caucus in June that Neal bowed out of, plus late-breaking news on whose support Jeremy Whalen has got.
After which, we'll head to the Cummington Creamery, now the Old Creamery Co-op, to hear how collective action of their members is helping to feed the hill towns and beyond.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
We're speaking with Jeremy Whalen, who's running for Congress in the 1st Congressional District against Congressman Richie Neal, who, as we've mentioned, has been invited on the show. We continue to invite him on the show. We hope to have him on before the primary. He has been speaking with our news department here at NEPM, and he is one of the most powerful people in Congress. He's a ranking member of Ways and Means. If the Congress goes back to blue, he will be the chair of the Ways and Means Committee. Many folks that we talk to privately may have a critique of Congressman Neal and how he is not as interactive with the district as he might be. You mentioned you're endorsed by the MTA, the biggest union in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. A lot of other big endorsements, including from just this morning. You got one from...
Ooh, breaking news, breaking news. Right here on the Fabulous 413, I found out this morning, and our team found out this morning, that we have been endorsed by Our Revolution National. We had been endorsed by Our Revolution Massachusetts. This is the PAC that is associated with Bernie Sanders. This is super close to my heart right here. I got my Bernie 2016 stickers in my van.
Big yellow van.
I always say there's a non-0% chance that Bernie could be knocking doors with me, but I'm going to go and ask him. We're in the preliminary stages. We're figuring out what the endorsement means, but Our Revolution National just endorsed, and much love to our Revolution fam.
Now, I have not particularly asked Congressman Jim McGovern this yet this year, but will before the primary. I have a feeling he will not say that he's endorsing you. Who is endorsing you, that it's elected officials in the 1st Congressional District, besides the city of East Hampton?
The entire city.
The mayor, many members of the school committee, many members of the city council.
East Hampton is generally chosen the side.
I wonder
side of
if you
progress.
don't win, what will happen with the funding, federal funding towards East Hampton. But who else has come forward besides the ones that we've mentioned that you want to note?
Yeah, so we have an entire few slates coming up, actually. I'm going to keep that close to my chest, but I will say this. We have both Tara Jacobs and Paul DiPaolo, who are the governor's council. We have 85% of the city council, school committee, and the mayor in East Hampton. We are going to have a good amount of municipal officials in Hampton County, Berkshire County, Worcester County, Hampshire County. We're lining all that up right now. And that matters because that is putting trust behind somebody that is coming from outside of politics and saying, hey, we've established those relationships and we've established that trust, and we know that you're the person for that job. And the other individual is nowhere to be found. I'm grateful for those connections that we've made, and I'm really excited to be announcing those. But I think that we've already established that we are connecting the municipal, state, and federal level in a really meaningful way that relies on the connection and the relationships for that.
The other part of talking with mayors is that one thing that they mentioned in this race is a fear of backlash. And the fact that that would be a part of this feels weird.
I'll say this. We are relational and my opponent is transactional. And what does that mean? Well, the power of Congress is in the purse strings. And when you dangle that purse over individuals' heads and threaten to cut off the economic ties there, the other part of this is that we have gone through the community project funds, for instance. That's what he's doing right now. He's taking a victory lap around, and, Middlefield, and Charlemont, and going to all these places. We looked at community project funding. And over the last 5 years, we actually rank out of the 9 congressional representatives, 5th out of 9, and below average. And so the idea that we're bringing home the bacon, we're not doing that. In fact, the only person that is benefiting economically from this is the campaign of Richard Neal. We looked back in 2025 at small contributions, for instance, and we looked at how many real people gave him money in 2025. We launched in September, and we had somewhere in the small contributions, I think it was over 1,000. I think it was in the 1,200 range. In 2025, he had 3 people donate donations under $200. More people in this room right now. Sorry, radio.
Your campaign manager is here hiding.
I think that speaks volumes to where we're at. We are not bringing more money in comparatively. That is also a myth. And it's used as almost a threat to say, you need to toe the line here. And I think that people are understanding that we're already in dire straits. We have lost billions of dollars from the big BS bill. And we've also lost a few more billion in the 5-college area because of federal research grant funding that's hitting us hard right now. And you have to situate that. It's not entirely his fault, but it's at a point where we're at the historic low approval ratings of not only Congress, but the Democratic Party. And so we're always on our heels. We need to be proactive. We need to be on the offensive. We need to be fighting for the things that we need, and that's what we're bringing, a new generation of leadership that understands that.
We know that Congressman Neal, since his almost 30 years serving in Congress, has worked his way up to ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee. If you were to be elected, what are some of the committees that you would want to be a part of? Jeremy Whalen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest one for me is education and workforce. And I just finished up my doctorate in mathematics, science, and learning technologies from UMass. I've been going to UMass for a long time. I got
You're going to get every degree UMass has.
3 degrees from UMass.
I need all of them.
You could go to other UMasses even if you wanted. You don't always have to go to Amherst.
But I think I'm well suited for that. I think when we talk about the things that are most upfront about this region, it's new growth. I mean, we're seeing Prop 2.5s, property tax increases. We're voting on those on a lot of municipal levels. And some are failing and some are winning. In South Hadley, ours failed handedly. We're back to the drawing board. But the way in which you counter that is by bringing in new growth. And with that, I think it's an intersection between education and having, on my platform, we look at everything from universal pre-K to pay teachers and paraprofessionals more and educators in general and tuition-free community college and vocational training, which is very important. And thinking about bringing that and connecting it with advanced manufacturing jobs and food science, something that's really big in the 4-college area. And
we'll call it 4.5 for now.
Yeah, and I think that's the winning ticket for Western and Central Massachusetts. It's a well-educated population, and we have that right here. We have all that brain power, connecting it to high-skilled jobs and building up our economy right here. And then connecting that with some of the agricultural initiatives that are going on with Jim McGovern right next door. I want to connect those blocks right there, and I think that working in tandem right there, that's really where I can be effective. I also think about space and technology, for instance. I have my doctorate, one of the kind of side quests I did was artificial intelligence, and we have individuals that are legislating this who have no clue what we're talking about.
We have always had individuals legislating technology who do not understand how the technology works.
It's a series
or
of
what
tubes.
It's like, oh my God.
How do you log into the tactics?
So you would want to be in some committee that's regulating that.
Yeah, and I think this is so ubiquitous within our society now, and it has so many implications. I was reading a story not too long ago about an individual that was asking how to load a shotgun and what times the highest traffic was at a mall, logged off, and then committed a mass shooting. And there's no guardrails to prevent that. And that's scary. It's having a toll on our economy through loss of jobs. It's having a toll on our social emotional aspects of how we're dealing with people in society. We need safety and guardrails on a corporation or conglomerate that says move fast and break things, but we're breaking human lives at this point. And so we need to really have people in the room that know what's going on and protect society from these technologies.
We're speaking with Jeremy Whalen, who's running for the 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives against Congressman Richie Neal. There was a candidates forum last week that Congressman Neal chose not to attend. Nadia Millerone, who's running as an independent, who we'll have back on the show after the primaries, was there. There is one scheduled debate. Can you tell us about that?
I guess you could call it a debate. It's August 26th for 30 minutes. And why does that stick out? Well, August 22nd is the last day to register to vote. August 28th is the last day to early vote. We were supposed to have a candidates forum on mid-June, but he waited until the last second and then finally said that he was declining. That sent everything spiraling, and it was rescheduled, or another candidates forum was rescheduled August 11th. He didn't tell the organizers he wasn't going. He went to the press and said that he wasn't going. That was 44 organizations in Springfield that were coming together to have this. So it's not just a couple of people. It's a lot of the city. Not only did he not attend, 24 hours before, at 4 o'clock p.m., he started sending out robo-texts saying that he was going to have a teletown hall at 10:30 a.m. on a weekday, and sent that out and had a carefully scripted love fest of easy questions here, totally undermining the process of that entire candidates forum. I think that right there speaks volumes about what we're talking about. Again, I've been at over 100 different speaking events. I'm going to a candidates forum tonight. I will talk to everybody. I learned this from Jim McGovern too. Stay in the room, even afterwards, until the last person. When we were at No Kings, I spoke next to him. Thousands of people in Northampton. He was the last person out of that park. And I know because I was right after him. And I think that that's what you owe your constituents, the hard conversations and conversations that accountability needs to be there. So a debate for 30 minutes, I think that this is going to be more of an indictment of the corporate political finance situation that we've been in and connecting the dots, because that's quite frankly not enough time to dig deep into policy. But I think that we're going to say what people already know. It's time for a new generation of leadership that cuts the ties to the corporations.
Have you met Congressman Neal or had a private conversation with him in the entirety of the time that you've been running, which has been over a year now?
Private conversation, no. I've seen him at a few functions. I was actually at a Historic Preservation Society meeting, and it was about 30 people, so he definitely couldn't avoid me there. But, I mean, we're always cordial. There's no need for animosity, but there is the need for enlightening people to the situation that we're in. And sometimes people go, oh, you shouldn't attack the congressman. I don't see any of this as an attack. I think that it is an indictment of the situation that we're in, the ties between that corporate money and the apathy that's bred into the system. And he's not alone. I think that when I think of the true representation that we're talking about, we need this all over. And that goes back to the conversation that we were having about progressive candidates. You look at their campaign finance, there's the platforms, but then there's also the integrity and how they're actually running their campaign finance. And I think that that's something that's resonating. And so we have been in the room at the same time. We've been cordial. And I think that it's an education of the situation that we're in as well.
Facts aren't attacks. They're facts.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to get a shirt.
But B, if it feels like an attack, there's something about it that makes you uncomfortable, and you should look into that.
We're speaking with Jeremy Whalen, who's running for Congress. We have been talking about this moment that we're in. A lot of people are talking about generational change. There is another race that is high profile in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with our Senator Ed Markey versus Representative Seth Moulton for Senate. Who are you supporting in that race?
This is what I'll say. So caucus season was this winter and spring, and it's a chance for the committees to come together, Democratic town committees, city committees. I went to, I think, 25 of them. Our entire team went to every single one we could. That was over 45 of them. And when I was in the room, Ed Markey's team would talk and say, Ed Markey is the champion of the Green New Deal and LGBTQI plus rights and the progressive agenda. And we go, that's us. And then Seth Moulton's team would stand up and say, Seth is for a new generation of leadership and a new vision and energy to the Democratic Party. I would say that's also us. And we would put both of those ideas together in a room that Richard Neal would not show up to. Not even show up to Springfield caucus, right in his backyard. And so over that time, we brought both of those ideas together, and we're the best of both worlds. We can only focus on what we're doing right now. I haven't got a call from Ed. I haven't got a call from Seth. And at the same time, I get many calls from constituents in Mass 1, and that's what we're focused on right now, doing the best possible representation for those people in Western and Central Massachusetts.
So you're not going to take one side. You're going to go right down the middle with it.
Yeah.
This all would be easier with ranked choice voting.
That's true.
Which we know works.
Yep. East Hampton has it.
I know.
Jeremy Whalen, this question has been on my mind since the first lawn signs went up. Jeremy is spelled Jeromie. I've never seen anybody with Jeremy spelled that way.
Jeromie.
Is there an ethnic background? Is there a story behind the spelling of Jeremy that way?
You know, I went straight to the source. I went to my mother and I said, "What's up with this?" And she literally said, "I just wanted you to be special." You know, it comes in.
I just wanted you to confuse all of your teachers from here on out, says
Who's
Khalees. Says
Jerome?
Khalees.
Khalees, Kaliis. Similar story to your name.
Yeah.
Well, no, my dad made it up on a piece of paper when I was born because the nurses didn't believe he was my mom's husband and wouldn't let him in the delivery room. And that was his concession that he got to name me. So I have the piece
But he
of
made you special with that special name.
He made it.
It comes in handy for usernames, but not necessarily if you're running for Congress.
Besides meeting all of the constituents in a rather large district, like what's been the biggest surprise about campaigning?
I think how receptive everyone is to change. Change is hard. Change is really hard. It's something to put yourself out of your comfort zone, and especially for older generations to say we're going to go into a new direction. But when I'm knocking doors or I'm in rooms with young, old, they say it's time. And I think that the surprising thing was how receptive everyone was to be honest, a pretty progressive platform. I mean, we put everything on our website. We're not trying to hold back anything. We're saying these are the things that we need to stand up for right now, and we're going to drop any pretenses. And I think that people like that. They like people that stand with conviction. The other part of this is that it goes back to what I think was a hijacking of authenticity. If you ask somebody why they voted for Trump, they won't necessarily give you a platform component because he flip-flops every single day and he changes it at his will. But what they'll say is that he tells it like it is. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the way in which he's delivering the message is resounding more than the actual message itself. And that's being conflated with honesty and relatability and truth. And so we're out here doing the same thing. I'm always my authentic self right here. I mean, much to the chagrin of my campaign, I won't put on a collared shirt. But
you're going to be a Fetterman if you go to Congress and wear hoodies?
I'm not necessarily a Carhartt man, but, you know, I have a lot of volunteer shirts that I started to wear, so a lot of local shirts. But all that to say, I think that embracing, from teaching and from my entire life, I've always embraced my authentic self and have a lot of self-love, and I reflect that, and that's reflected in the community that we're building and the messaging that we have as well. And when people see that we're in it for the right reasons and truly, honestly care about other individuals, that transcends politics. And that's actually how we can connect, red or blue. I mean, we have a lot of support from across the political spectrum, and it's because people understand and trust in what we're doing.
Jeremy Whalen is running for the 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives against Congressman Richie Neal. The primary is Tuesday, September 1st. He's been our guest today. We offer, once again, for Congressman Neal to join us on this show as well. You can listen to NEPM and hear some of the conversations he's had with our news department. If you want to find out more about Jeremy Whalen, you can go to whalenforcongressma.com. Jeremy, thanks so much. We'll miss you at Transformance tonight.
Wear a nice mustache for me.
I have a whole bag of them, actually. Do you want one?
I don't need one, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The offer stands.
Okay.
Okay. Now we go to count the cows at the Old Creamery Co-op in Cummington.
And learn the many ways that location continues to gather and support folks in the hill towns.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Are you aware of the geological feature that was discovered here in this town?
You're not talking about coming tonight, are you?
Why, yes, I am.
Well, I hear it's very valuable.
It's called coming tonight.
It is called
It's a
coming.
real stone.
It's a real stone.
I don't know about this.
Yeah,
What
Yeah,
is it?
but I think that every 7th grade boy in the country probably does.
And every one half of a host of the Fabulous 413 who anytime comes to this town wants to talk about that wonderful rock.
All the names that were possible that you could have named this stone.
It's perfection.
It's perfection.
Coming tonight is really my favorite stone.
It's
It should be
handed
the
right.
official stone of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Well, we'll put it on a petition and see what happens. I think we know some other groups that we can maybe get band together, some sort of a cooperative effort. Oh, God.
Get ready, Road Night. Coming tonight's coming for you.
We are here at another Local Hero Spotlight with Claire Morneau from CISA, the local hero folks, at what I still call the Cummington Creamery, but is now the Old Creamery Co-op.
That's right.
Officially, and it has become a co-op.
Oh, I'm Lloyd Miller. It's nice to meet you.
What do you do here?
Well, I'm the general manager.
I'm Jesse Macero, and I'm the marketing and membership coordinator.
Before we dive into the co-op aspect of the creamery, tell us a little bit of the history of this wonderful place on Route 9 in Cummington. It's one of those places I always stop if I can stop whenever I go by.
Same. When I lived in Williamsburg, it was like my partner at the time and I hang out because there was no place to go in Williamsburg. But like this was the place to come up and hang out.
Now there's a couple places in Williamsburg you
Yeah,
can hang out.
but that's just 20 years later.
Yeah. Tell us about the history of the Cummington Creamery.
Yeah, the Old Creamery Co-op. I mean, we say before we get to the co-op part, but I mean, our origins actually were in cooperative business. Back in, I think it was 1886, we had the Cummington Cooperative Creamery is what this building originally was. So, I mean, at its peak, this place was churning butter, turning out dairy for essentially all the local farmers would bring their animals to one spot so that they could share those resources of production and get the butter made. What was it, about 20,000 pounds?
Something like that, yeah.
A week, I think, at the peak.
So kind of like the Our Family Farms of its day.
Absolutely, like a cooperative. It was dairy cooperatives at that time were fairly common. But yeah, that's the origin of, cooperative origin,
That's right. No, and so, it kept going that way as that particular cooperative enterprise until the 40s. In the 40s, that's when obviously it got a lot easier to refrigerate, got a lot easier to transport and stuff like that, so it just wasn't as necessary. But it had that vital point of being the center of a community.
Yeah.
So it became a bunch of different things. Usually in one version or another, it was a general store or it was a restaurant. And I think in around 88, around 90, the Berenson family purchased it, built out this really nice sunny cafe that we're sitting in, and combined the grocery and restaurant aspects of it. And so that's sort of the model that it's been since then.
We've actually still got the sign from the old restaurant up there.
Old Creamery Restaurant, it says way up there. And there also worth noting, there is a cow on your roof. Not a real cow, but it is one of the iconic beacons of the Old Creamery Co-op.
We are the place to shop with a cow on top. And we do have the Berensons to thank for that. That was part of the renovation was Camille, our good friend Camille up there looking out for us.
It's the best landmark whenever you're telling people to get here. Just look for the building with a cow on the roof. And they're like, what? You'll know when you get there.
So after the Berensons had the store through 1990, a couple of really wonderful women, Alice and Amy Alice Cozzolino and Amy Pulley took over and really kind of brought a vibe to the store that was a little different. It was more towards that, just the positivity that one would already associate with co-ops, to be honest, right? Natural foods.
Yeah.
Home cooking.
Yeah.
You experienced a lot of that.
Absolutely. I worked for Alice and Amy. Alice hired me in 2006. Yeah, just heart of the community type folks, people who their door was open, their hearts were open, and they wanted to share their love of food. They were the first people to ever have me try ice wine vinegar, the kind of thing that I could never afford. I can't afford that, but they wanted me to try it. It was that level of care for the food. And that's really what traveled through to the co-op. That was the through line.
Yeah, and then, they just became such a fixture in the community, and this just became that much more of that gathering place that it always had been. but, it was a private enterprise. That's what happens a lot of times, especially in these small rural communities. You run a risk with private enterprise because people have private lives and they want to move on with them. If you've ever run a business, you know that eventually it kind of can get on top of you, and there might be something else you want to do. So what happens if you don't have somebody you want to leave it to? It's that succession. In this case, the community came together, decided they really wanted to maintain what Alice and Amy had built and to really honor it and to try to create a business that would be here in perpetuity. And that's where cooperatives come in. We're community owned. It was a huge undertaking for this community to come together, meetings on meetings, fundraising and fundraising, and they did it. And we've been cooperatively owned since 2012.
It feels like sometimes it's hard to convince community to get involved in co-ops. Like once it's running, they're like, it's fine, this is great here. But like getting that ball particularly rolling, did you experience any pushback from the community? Like what was the engagement like when you were in the midst of all of that paperwork and trying to get this on its feet?
Jesse, marketing director for the Old Creamery Co-op, who's been here 20 years, right?
I have been here on and off for about 20 years, which is an impressive amount of time. No, I think that overall it was a rising up. Everybody looked at the creamery and said, this is a resource that we want to have. We understand why Alice and Amy want to have their lives back. We get that. And so it's time for us to step up and say, that's fine. You guys can go sit down. We're going to pick it up from here. Every year we get new members and new people involved.
How many members do you have?
1,126, I believe.
Wow, that's good because that is more people than live in the town of Cummington, right?
That is correct. I think 2020, the census said we had around 800 or so. But, that's the key point, too, right? We serve the hill towns.
Right.
Our home is Cummington, this wonderful, insane, tiny town that just over the years has had poets, artists, farmers, this fair, the things that you just wouldn't expect to be cropping up in a town of 800 people. There's been a through line for so long, but here we are, and we couldn't be happier.
Lloyd, you have a kind of an interesting origin story in relationship to the Old Creamery Co-op. You want to tell us where you came from to get to here?
Yeah, I actually moved up here from New Orleans, let's say mid-COVID. But, my involvement with this town and this store goes back to the early 2000s as well. My wife came from New York, and she went to one of our local summer camps up here every summer from 1986. She's been out there. We've got Shire Village Camp, we've got Camp Greenwood Music Camp. It makes for beautiful summertime. But yeah, I owned bars and managed small businesses. There's a place in New Orleans called Preservation Hall. I got the distinct pleasure of working for back when the band was still playing gymnasiums on tour and stuff like that. Well,
now we play the Academy of Music in Northampton.
They can still play gyms if they want to.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
And Preservation Hall itself is real tiny and gorgeous.
Oh, it's so beautiful, and it's all heart. And that's the thing, they've got a mission. The Old Creamery Co-op has a mission. I'm just a mission-based person, and I love working towards a goal, and it's good goals.
Claire Morneau of CSUN.
Well, you've talked about how the co-op is sort of a community hub for Cummington and the Hill Towns. I'm curious if you can tell us more about your relationship with farms.
Boy, that's so important. As a co-ops, they're all always, as a rule, founded with certain principles in mind, right? There's 7 cooperative principles, and if you need them, you look to them. But one of them is definitely supporting local. I mean, that's why we're here. We are so pleased in this rich farmland out here to be able to pull so much of our produce locally. We have a wonderful aggregator up the road. Shout out to Ruby over at Oliver's Farm Stand up in Goshen. She does an amazing job of traveling and building this net between all these local producers, and we get to benefit from that because as a grocery store, we can't do everything. But what we can do is we can pull these strings together, hopefully, and find the people that we can support that do those things.
What are some of those farms that you work with?
Well, we work with Thomas Farm and Dairy is a sort of local farm. Scott Orchard is a local orchard that we've been pulling fruit from for decades. It's not just food, it's also local producers like Just Soap. There's a lot of folks around here who make a lot of incredible objects and food and
Just Soap is bicycle-powered soap. Shout out to my buddy Fred, who rides the bicycle that churns the mash that makes the soap.
I mean, it's so much easier than just using your arms.
High Lawn Farm, we scoop ice cream all summer long. We get it directly from Highland Farm, and if something goes wrong, I drive out there and pick it up myself. They make their own ice cream on the farm. That place has been doing business for so long. Jesse, what are those? They got very fancy cows.
Oh, they have incredibly fancy cows. Their cows sleep on heated water beds.
What? No, Highland's amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sleep over.
It's crazy, and it's so interesting too, the connections that you find out here, right? So I was talking with the folks over at Thomas Farm, and they have a 4-H connection back to Highland Farm. So everybody out here is interconnected. It's a network.
You have to survive. You know, that's part of our identity too, is beyond just a food co-op. We're a rural food co-op, and that's really its own thing. We have a really specific mission here, which is to serve our community in such a way that we have not only like the high attribute, organic, local, awesomest, higher end co-op style offerings, but also affordability, conventional groceries, and you have to be 2 stores under one roof here, because that's how you serve your community. You got 2 different audiences sometimes. We're not competing with the big store across the street. We're competing with this idea that you have to travel 30 minutes to give your money to a large corporation that's going to filter it all upwards to where, you know, it's leaving the community. We're here, we're in the center of a small community. We bring other small communities to us, and we keep that money in the system.
We often visit the Leverett Village Co-op, which is the only store in Leverett and serves a very similar purpose to that community. We were just at Gardening the Community in Springfield, in a neighborhood that is a food desert, despite the fact that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that live in that one neighborhood. You are a rural food co-op in the midst of a rural food desert. You're the only game in town for food in the area. Talk about your relationship to SNAP and HIP. Are people able to use those programs when they come here as well?
SNAP, yes, absolutely. And, you know, there's another project going on in town. Down the town is working on turning the old Berkshire Trail Elementary School into some sort of a food hub. It's very, you know, early days on all that, but I believe the Franklin County Community Development Corporation is helping out with that. And we'll see how it develops. You know, we've had little meetings, we'll help where we can, and hopefully everybody gets fed.
Lloyd Miller and Jesse Massaro of the Old Creamery Co-op return with Claire Morneau of CISA to discuss what winter is like for them in Cummington, the importance of their cafe, and their merch, and lots more shortly.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
It feels like there are 3 different businesses under the co-op, the Creamery Co-op. I've already lost the thread. The Old Creamery Co-op. Thank you. Like where, like you have the grocery aspect, you have the cafe aspect, and the tchotchke like merch. Talk about how important that third one is, because not everybody does merch for their spot, even when it's relatively iconic, which I definitely think the Creamery is.
Being a bit of a food oasis out here, we offer the locals something that I think is very difficult to find out here, but what we offer folks who are passing through is a bit of a memory, a token, something to take back from camp. You spent all summer out here, and you had all these wonderful times getting an ice cream cone down at the Creamery. Everybody seems to love taking home a shirt, taking home a mug.
We saw somebody purchasing a shirt while we were here.
That's awesome. But it's also local crafts, right? So like there's this element of people around here who are very talented, who are bringing in their work, and then this is a place where they can offer it. And when you come in here and you see the local handcrafted pottery or paintings, it gives a sense of community that is the reality of what we're doing out here, which is sort of tying everybody together.
And I'll tell you one more thing about that too. When you expand your offerings just a little bit like that, you give people driving by something to purchase. They don't need eggs, but I'll tell you something, all those other purchases, every cup of coffee, there's different margins on everything. Groceries are a very interesting business. Some of these other things help to subsidize the pantry foods for the locals. We're not trying to make money off of eggs, but you have to charge what you have to charge to stay in business. And, you know, sometimes you can charge a little less if people are buying t-shirts.
Does liquor help in that way too?
No liquor, but beer and wine, right?
We sell liquor as well.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that here yet. But you have a pretty good wine selection.
The cashier has control of the harder
They
stuff.
keep it away from me.
That's right. So everything you can offer in a grocery store, man, let me tell you something. This is something that we're not just a co-op, we're a food co-op. And you guys know grocery stores are not exactly engines of profit.
Right.
If you do everything right as a grocery store, you get to keep 1 penny out of every dollar that crosses your counter into your register. And that's if you're doing everything right. And it's real easy not to do everything right. So what you learn is that you just keep massaging everything. You just keep building everything out, making everything as lovely, everything as attractive, everything as positive and wholesome as you can. And there's a synthesis to the whole thing. It all goes into the soup, and hopefully you get to keep that dollar.
If people are interested in becoming an owner of the Old Creamery Co-op, what does that entail, and what kind of benefits do those people get if they become the owners?
Everybody who becomes a member purchases equity in our co-op. This means that you are a member owner. It means that the business is partially yours. With that comes some rights and responsibilities. So, we have an annual meeting every year where every member is invited to come and vote and take a role in their co-op's leadership. But it also means that you can sign up and be on the board and sort of help steer the vehicle down the road. We also do member appreciation weekends 4 times a year. We sort of line them up so that they're uniquely positioned to help our customers around like Thanksgiving or various times of the year where a little bit of a discount can actually go a long way.
The real thing that people get, I believe, out of joining a cooperative is this sense that you're doing something different with your money. You are participating in a strong, vibrant local economy. You have a stake, and we're keeping the money with the local producers, not, again, filtering it up to like 3 guys that just take all the little pennies that they can. So that's the draw. It's having a say, as Jesse was saying, the democratic process, and being part of a different way of thinking about food access and what profit really means.
You also get access to our newsletter a number of days early where I do go around the local area. I hit businesses, events, different attractions, things that bring people in and try to shine the light out, try to really meet our goals for supporting the community around us by highlighting those of our community who could use it.
It's really true because, we can't always support financially the activities around us, as we said, not a profit engine here, right? But we have reach, and that's what we try to do, is try to use venues like Jesse's monthly feature that he writes in the newsletter to make our community aware of each other and what they're doing. We did Just So, Jesse wrote a great story about them. We've done Highland Farm. We've done a ridiculous, we've probably shot a little high in the number of features that we've written in the last 5 years.
It's fun to scratch that creative itch. It's like what we do every week.
It's probably the most joy that I have found working, period, end of story. Going around and seeing people's passion, seeing all of the work and energy that they put into the things that they love, and I get to learn about it. I kind of envy you, man.
We get to be curious for a living. I tell people all the
It's
time.
our whole job.
Yeah.
Lloyd, you alluded to just like the inherent challenge in running grocery stores. And you said that you came in partway during COVID.
Yeah.
Jesse, you've been involved for 20 years. I'm curious, just like within the world of small grocers and rural grocers, what has changed over the years and what challenges you see coming, how you sort of approach the ever-changing and challenging world of small grocers?
Well, you just keep showing up, don't you? I've been running small businesses for a long time. This is the first time I've ever done grocery, and it was a little bit of a learning curve. We'll shout out to a cooperative organization called Colluminate that can really offer some education for people who are learning, the nuts and bolts of a business. But it's a constant massaging of data points, so it's not a very interesting answer. Maybe Jesse's got a more heartwarming one that I'm going to sit here and talk about spreadsheets.
Numbers are important.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I would say that I think leaning on your community is kind of the direction I would head. I would say leaning on other organizations, NFCA has been such a help for us. CISA has been such a help for us. There are people who are already doing the work, and if you can plug into networks, that's one of the pieces that's really going to help you sustain. If you can learn from the mistakes that other people have already made, just even a couple of years ago, like you can actually save yourself. And we have been a resource for others to talk about the bumps that we've hit. And in reaching out to places like River Valley, to all these other places, we're able to look down the road and see speed bumps coming our way as well.
It's cool that the co-ops cooperate. Greenfields Co-op and River Valley Co-op cooperate.
Isn't that one of the principles?
Number
Cooperation
6.
among
Number 6. Co-op people love number 6. It's co-ops helping co-ops. And that's the 7 cooperative principles that we talked about.
We're here in the lushness of summer as summer wanes, alas. But what's this place like in the winter? Some of the tourist traffic is very different. It's not that it's gone, it's just less. And then sometimes it gets hard to navigate Route 9 because they forget to plow. I have lived in the hill towns. So yeah, what's this place like in the winter? What are the trends that you've seen when it gets cold?
Well, so you talk about the tourists. We do get skiers in, so Notch View is actually a huge pull. You'd be surprised. And there's some snow tourism. Snow tourism.
Yeah, I forgot that the world is warming up, so we don't get as much of that anymore.
It's so true. It's really unfortunate. But I would say that the creamery does slow down. Every winter we look at what we can do for the summer to make things easier for ourselves. We really focus on ourselves in the winter and our community. So it's a great place to sit and have a nice cup of coffee and chat about that snowstorm.
It gets real cozy. It gets real cozy around here. We got hot mulled cider that we sell. We switch over to a house-made cocoa. It's a different vibe. It's a different time of year. And you know what? It's nice because the community comes here. Look, it's fun to have lots of people just passing through, but it's also really nice to see a community looking for each other in a space and being that space where they can find each other.
And just showing up for each other. You never know who's going to show up with a snow shovel or their excavator to clear our snow banks. We're very grateful.
For sure. It's part of the co-op too. Everybody's pitching in.
Your cafe is constantly booming. If you could talk just a little bit about your selections, which I think generally punch above their weight in a way that people don't really expect from a spot like this, and how important maintaining that cafe, regardless of restaurant legacy that this place has, is to your current model.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And that's part of the thing. Like we said, there's so many pieces of the puzzle. Not only do we have that killer deli, we've got the killer bakery, these pies, the crumb top fruit pies that we do. Melanie Ridgely back there, Noelle Shears on our prepared food department, Janet Pixley running our deli, and those are the items. And they're sort of more luxury. Again, you're getting away from pantry, right? And food service, that's a 33% cost situation. So you use labor. You use labor to create things by hand for people. So you're your own producer then at that point, and it really does help to bolster things. Punching above your weight, we have these amazing specialty grilled sandwiches, the Flying Pig, the Holy Cow, huge breakfast sandwich menu, including the Herman Melville, because you got to name
Made with real whale.
That's right. Well,
no, that's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but you can inflate smoked salmon into whale-like proportions in your mind. You smear the cream cheese. Yeah, no, it gets real. But no, it's a huge component of what we do. And I mean, come on, nothing gives the feels like food.
Yeah, so true. And I think leaning into those ingredients that really make a difference and matter, like thick cut bacon. Honestly, our focaccia is one of the biggest pulls. So if you're getting a panini, you're getting it on focaccia. We make the focaccia here. It is delicious. People drive just for that.
Lloyd and Jesse from the Old Creamery Co-op, thanks for welcoming us here to your cafe. I'm going to get myself another cup of coffee and can't wait to have these ribs for lunch.
My God, you guys, it's so nice to see you in person.
And thanks for generally not putting celery in your chili.
Somebody's got to do it.
The hill I die on. How were your ribs?
They were great. I split them into 2 days, actually, so there we go. You can enjoy them another day. And thanks to everybody at CISA and the Old Creamery Co-op there in Cummington.
And once again, we go and talk with CISA. We were doing this way before they became an underwriter of the show.
That's true, yes.
So we have to disclose because now they are.
There are podcast versions of both of our conversations with the Old Creamery Co-op and candidate Jeremy Whalen when you check out the podcast version of the Fabulous 413, wherever podcasts are available.
Yep, and your catcher of choice.
And Both of us tonight will be at Transformance Pines Theater at Look Park, a benefit for the Northampton schools. Who will you be portraying in the Moon Age Daydream theme, Khalees?
I will be Samuel Hearing from Future Islands, and I will be George Clinton of Parliament and Funkadelic.
I'll be several aliens. Too many to mention right now. But on the next Fabulous 413, we'll talk about the liberation on the land at the Cabilio and Susu Community Farms as they prepare for a workshop on Audre Lorde.
We'll get into the existential horror of Great Barrington Public Theater's final work for the season, Yellow Wallpaper 2.0 2020.
And our interim word nerd, Peter Sokolowski, joins us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers, y'all.